This video is going to be showing how you can use multiple guide processes to style fur, which in this case is going to be some teddy bear fur. So to begin, let's click on the teddy bear. And in the Hair Utils tab, I'm going to click on Add Fur and follow the instructions down below. So I'm going to hit the Enter key. And by default, Houdini will generate two nodes for us. If we zoom in, they are the Guide, Groom, and Hair Generate nodes. So you'll notice that there are red curves in the viewport, and these are our guide curves that we can style, which Houdini has generated for us. It's taken our bare surface and scattered a bunch of points on it, and wherever there's a point, it's instancing a curve, which we can style. Now you can either use the ones that Houdini generates for you, or you can bring in very specifically styled curves that can be used in a male or female hairstyle groom, which takes us to the Hair Generate node, which takes these guide curves and then generates hair from them. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is set the direction of the fur. So let's select the guide groom, and in the guide process, click on Initialize Guides. And this is going to set the direction of the fur so that we can get more predictable results when we layer on additional guide processes on it. Now I don't like the way that it's going on an angle, so I'm just going to set the set direction to 0 so it's pointing down. And I'm just going to increase the lift a bit, like so. Next, I'm going to set length on the fur. So I can either click on the shelf tool, or if I want to stay in the network editor, I can just hit tab and type set length. And the cool thing about dropping the node down is I don't have to wire anything up. Everything's automatically wired. So I'm going to move the display flag down to it and expand the network editor. I'm going to hit the P key to get the parameter pane. And I'm just going to turn on Randomize so that I can get a varied look so that the fur length is not so even or uniform. So 0.1 for min and maybe 0.32 for max. And if I find later on that it's too short or too long, I can always just hop back in here and adjust the length. The last thing I'm going to do in the guide groom is a bend. So I'm going to hit tab and type bend. Select the guide process for bend and drop it down. And the bend, you can see that the fur is kind of boring looking because it's straight, but I want it to kind of curl up at the tip. So I can do that by using a curve mask, and I can specify exactly which part of the curve I want it to curl upwards. So I can just adjust this ramp here, and this way it'll only affect the tip of the curve. And I'm going to adjust my angle and increase the random angle value. And that's my curled up fur. So I'm done here. Let me hit the U key. And we are going to turn off visibility on the guide groom because I've finished styling my curves. Now I'm going to go look on the hair generate node. So let's select it. And I'm going to use the optimization limit to bounding box option. This allows me to just focus on a patch of fur that I can do lookdev on instead of having to wait for the entire surface area of the fur to cook as I'm making changes. So let me just adjust the bounding box, which is on his butt, to something like that. Next thing I'm going to do is in the thickness tab, I'm going to increase the thickness amount. And if you're not seeing this in the viewport, you probably want to turn on high quality lighting, right mouse button click, and make sure ambient occlusion is enabled. Now this looks kind of sparse where I'm standing, quote unquote. So I'm going to jump back to the basic tab and just increase the density to 20,000. All right, so let's dive in. Double click to go inside, and I'm going to click on clump. Now you can see everything's wired up. And our clumps are there, but they're kind of big, so I'm just going to make some adjustments. And I'm going to go to the fractal clumping tab, and this is going to help make the look of the clumping more natural. And I'm going to go to the curling tab and turn on curling. By default, the amplitude is set to 0, so you don't see anything. And depending on the length of your fur and the guide processes that you've applied to it previously, you may need to work with smaller values to begin with. Do something like that. Next, we're going to throw on some frizz. So hit tab and type frizz, drop it down, move the display flag down to it, and let's make some adjustments. So I've put down also a guide process for set lift. And, I'm wondering, what will this fur look like if I disable the frizz? Because maybe that's too much noise in the fur. I can just hold down the Q key and select the guide process, and that enables me to do very quick look dev to turn off and on basically effects on your fur. And if you change your mind later on, you want to put back the frizz because you like the noise, you can just hit the Q key and turn it back on. And that's how you can layer guide processes to style your fur in Houdini. Thanks for watching.